So, today, it is the first day of Kartik. I will read from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 9. What's chapter 9 about of the 10th canto? Who knows?
Damodara.
Damodara. Yeah. So, Mother Yasoda binds Lord Krishna. And we will read the first verse. Before we read from Srimad Bhagavatam, we glorify Lord Krishna with the words Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Naram Cheva Narottanam
Naram Cheva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Sarasatim Vyasam
Tato Jamudirayat
Tato Jayamudirayat
Nastavishu Abhadrasu
Namaskrityam
Nityam Bharata Seva Bhagavati Uttamastuke Bhakti Bhaktinastike. So, Canto 10, Chapter 9, Text 1, 2. Sri Sukha Uvacha Ekada Hyada Shistu Yasodhanandagini Karmantara Yuktasu Nirmamanta Swayam Tati Yani Yani Yagitani Tadbala Charitani Cha Data Nirmantani Kali Smaranti Tam Agayata. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Sri Sukadev Goswami continued. One day when Mother Yasoda saw that all the maidservants were engaged in other household affairs, she personally began to churn the yogurt. While churning, she remembered the childish activities of Krishna, and in her own way she composed songs and enjoyed singing to herself about all these activities. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, quoting from the Vaishnava Toshani of Srila Sanatan Goswami, says that the incidents of breaking the pot of yogurt and being bound by Mother Yasoda took place of the Deepavali day or Deepa Malika. Even today in India, this festival is generally celebrated very gorgeously in the month of Kartik by fireworks and lights, especially in Bombay. It is to be understood that among all the cows of Nanda Maharaj, several of Mother Yasoda's cows ate only grasses so flavorful that the grasses would automatically flavor the milk. Mother Yasoda wanted to collect the milk from these cows and make it into yogurt and churn it into butter personally, since she thought that this child Krishna was going to the house of the neighborhood Gopas and Gopis to steal butter because he did not like the milk and yogurt ordinarily prepared. While churning the butter, Mother Yasoda was singing about the childhood activities of Krishna. It was formerly a custom that if one wanted to remember something constantly, he would transform it into poetry and have this done by a professional poet. It appears that Mother Yasoda did not want to forget Krishna's activities at any time. Therefore, she poeticized all of Krishna's childhood activities, such as the killing of Putana, Aghasur, Sarkatasur, and Trinavarta. And while shunning the butter, she sang about these activities in poetical form. This should be the practice of persons eager to remain Krishna conscious 24 hours a day. This incident shows that Krishna conscious, how Krishna conscious Mother Yasoda was. To stay in Krishna consciousness, we should follow such persons. Read the translation again. One day, when Mother Yasoda saw that all the maidservants were engaged in other household affairs, she began to churn the yogurt. While churning, she remembered the childish activities of Krishna. In her own way, she composed songs and enjoyed singing to herself about all those activities. Chitchetayamanopistam taktam yena bhutaleshtam urkadamayam dadati svapadantikam pandeham shiyuda patkamam shigom vaishnavamsha shirupam jagadatam saganaragnatam tam sajivam sadvaitam sadutam parjana saitam Krishna chaitanya devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shivishakam Pitam Shahe Krishna Karuna Sinudina Bandhu Kyatpati Gopesha Koka Kantara Kant Namaste Tapta Kanchna Galangi Radhe Vrindavana Shri Vishavana Devi Panamama Haripriya Panka Kaltra Vishan Kripa Shimbe Vishan Patnam Panapyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namacharya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavana Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishnu Bhakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pacharani Nirvishesha Sunyavampi Paskachai Desatarani Srila Prabhupada ki. So according to our acharyas, previous spiritual masters, this pastime took place on the day of Diwali. Diwali. What do we celebrate on Diwali? Yes.
The return of Lord Ram victory to Ayodhya.
Yes, that and on that day we offer,
Yeah, the whole city was filled with light.
yeah,
Nice.
they offer lamps everywhere to celebrate the victory over evil, the evil of Ravan. That the light, picture of light over the darkness. And also, how long ago did Lord Ram live? When were various pastimes?
1 million years or so?
A little more,
2 million.
2 million.
2 million. Okay.
2 million
Is it in
years.
another yuga?
It was Satya Yuga, yes.
It was at the end of Satya Yuga.
Yeah, Satya Yuga, 2 million years ago. So 5,000 years ago, on the day of Diwali, they already celebrated this.
Hmm.
And it was a custom, Maharaj Nanda, on that day, they went with the whole family, the entire family, they went to Upananda, the house of his elder brother, Upananda. That, and so everyone practically left. That Balaram was not there. He left with Rohini, and practically everyone was left. The house was practically empty. There were just a few servants. That, of course, that was the arrangement for this pastime to take place. Because if Nanda Maharaj would have been there or Balaram, it
You don't need a mic.
it would have been completely different.
Yeah.
It would have been completely different. Yes. That
So
mhm.
was Nanda Maharaj was absent from the house?
Yeah,
Okay.
they were
So
all
only
to,
Mother Yashoda.
all to Upananda's house
Okay.
to celebrate their Diwali.
Okay. So
Yeah.
only
Yeah,
Yashoda was not alone.
yeah, with Krishna practically.
Okay.
So that shows already 5,000 years ago they celebrated Diwali. And it was just on this day. It's called Deepavali. Deepa means light, offering of light. On that day, it is mentioned that. So it was early in the morning. Mother Yasoda was a bit concerned about Krishna because Krishna was stealing butter in others' houses. That, of course, although externally the neighbors would chastise Krishna, but they were thinking inside, when is Krishna going to come to my house to steal butter? So they liked it very much. Of course, stealing is, Krishna is called Makancho, the one who steals butter.
Mm.
But of course, he's the Supreme Lord, the source of everything. Everything belongs to him, so he cannot steal anything because everything belongs to him. That's not possible. That from the point of world immorality, one gets stuck there. Yes, because also Mother Yasoda was thinking he's going to other houses to steal butter, so he doesn't like the butter we prepare. Because on another occasion, Krishna was feeding the butter to the monkeys, so he's giving to the monkeys. But yes, so Mother Yasoda was thinking that I'm not going to leave that to my servants, I'm going to do it myself. Because they had a few cows which they kept separately, and they were fed with super flavored, nice grass. And it is said here the flavor of the grass entered into the milk. So it was milk from very special cows. And then Mother Yasoda was churning churning the yogurt. They make yogurt from that milk, and then she was churning it to turn it into butter. That's with a churning rod. It's rod with a rope and circled around, and by moving it, it moves. But we see Mother Yasoda was also concerned about our Krishna consciousness. She's the topmost devotee. And a topmost devotee must have the ability to engage oneself in devotional service. So she wanted to remember Krishna the whole time and not forget him. So what she did is she discussed with poets, and she described a pastime of Krishna, and these poets would put that into verse form, the verse, and she would sing these verses. And by that she would remember Krishna the whole time, just by repeating these verses. And she was singing these verses. And that It's like in the purport, they say if you want to remember something, you put it in a verse form, you repeat it. And that's wonderful, wonderful. We have the Bhagavatam, and every verse is directly or indirectly is about Krishna. So repeating this version of the Bhagavatam, that's very powerful. So even the verses of Bhagavad Gita, that more than 35 years ago, I was an accountant, and I was studying Bhagavad Gita. And what I did was, I was doing input of data on the computer, and I was looking at the Bhagavad Gita, and I was repeating verses while I was doing that. So that then later we see this. I read this in the Krishna book. It say, oh, that's a good practice. That always we have these books of Srila Prabhupada and all these verses spoken by Krishna. So we should be eager to learn these verses. Eager. We want to love Krishna, then we must be interested in what Krishna is saying, right? That sometimes I did that in the past. I'm not doing that anymore. It's too confrontational. But I give a lecture for Indians, and I ask them, "Do you know Bhagavad Gita?" And they say, "Oh, yes, we know Bhagavad Gita." But then I ask, what does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita? Not much, but they have to tell that. So we must be interested what Krishna is to say. And that Srila Prabhupada gives the example. A young boy and a young girl, they meet for the first time, love at the first sight. Do you think the boy has difficulty to memorize the mobile number of the girl? He has to repeat it thousands of times. No, it's easier to remember it. So we should be eager to remember and to hear about Krishna and to repeat his pastimes. And Mother Yasoda was completely absorbed in remembering Krishna. That and yes, she was churning this milk of this special cows into butter. Of course, it was quite early, but the sun had already risen. And suddenly, what happens further, we will hear. Next verse. So dressed in a saffron yellow sari, with a belt tied about her full hips, Mother Yasoda pulled on the churning rope, laboring considerably, her bangles and earrings moving and vibrating, and her whole body shaking. Because of her intense love for her child, her breasts were wet with milk, her face, with its very beautiful eyebrows, was wet with perspiration, and malati flowers were falling from her hair. So that's a nice meditation. If we meditate on that, yes. And Srila Prabhupada writes that anyone who desires to be Krishna conscious in motherly affection or parental affection should contemplate the body features of Mother Yasoda. It is not that one should desire to become like Yasoda. That is Mayavada. Either in parental affection or conjugal love, friendship or servitorship, in any way we must follow in the footsteps of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, not try to become like them. Therefore, this description is provided here. Advanced devotees must cherish this description always thinking of Mother Yasoda's features, how she was dressed, how she was walking and perspiring, how beautifully the flowers were arranged in her hair, and so on. One should take advantage of the full description provided here by thinking of Mother Yasoda, a maternal affection for Krishna. So this is mentioned in Nectar of Devotion. That so if to enter into Vrindavan, we must get the mercy of a resident of Vrindavan. That and we can meditate on their display, their emotions of affection for Krishna, and that the residents of Vrindavan are the eternal associates of Krishna. They are perfected devotees. That to enter Vrindavan, we must have the blessings or the mercy of a resident of Vrindavan. That yes.
Well, I've always understood that, as Bhakti Shruma has told us. For us, that means Srila Prabhupada means like an eternal associate of Krishna, resident of the Vrindavan. So we want to follow in his footsteps. We can also cultivate other attraction, but it starts with Srila Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada, my Gomach explains it as follows.
Yeah.
We must have the mercy of a resident of Vrindavan. Then he asked the question, who is the highest resident of Vrindavan? Srimati Radharani. And then he asked the following question, who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityan. Yeah, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanga. It's Radha and Krishna together. So we have the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, then we get the mercy of Srimati Radharani. And then he asks the following question. Then the point puts forward the following point. Who is Srila Prabhupada? He is the great general sent by Lord Chaitanya to give us that mercy. So Srila Prabhupada is the way to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. By Lord Chaitanya, we get the mercy of Srimati Radharani. But we must have the mercy of a resident of Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada, when he was on the Jaladuta, he wrote two poems. And one is prayer to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. And the refrain of that prayer says, "Oh my brother, be assured, if you don't get in this life the mercy of Srimati Radharani, your life is lost." So getting the mercy of Srimati Radharani, getting the mercy of a resident of Vrindavan. But today we're starting this Damodara pastime. And this Damodara pastime, here Krishna will be very merciful to his devotee. And we see how Krishna is controlled by the motherly affection of Mother Yasoda. Because that is a resident of Vrindavan. The resident, but particular to Braja Prem, to the love of the residents of Vrindavan. What is special to it? What makes it different with the love of the residents of Vaikuntha? Or
The intimacy, or they cannot live without.
I'm just repeating what Lord Krishna says in the 11th canto, and he said what makes the highest love is the love for the Vrajavasis for me, because with that love they can control me. That's the love of the Vrajavasis. They can control Krishna by their love. And we will see here, Mother Yasoda will control Krishna, who is the source of all the universes, that she will bind him. And she will call him Damodara later. And Krishna doesn't like it, because every time he hears Damodara, he thinks, I've done something wrong. Therefore, she bound me. So he does not like. Well, one time that Rohini, Mother Rohini came to tell Krishna, lunch is ready, you should come. And she called him Damodar. And Krishna didn't come. But then Mother Yasoda would come and would call Krishna. He would not call him Damodar, and he would come. So Krishna plays this role full-heartedly. He's absorbed in his role, and that is Yoga Maya. Yoga Maya makes him really think he's a cowboy, and that's interesting. So that he can play this role completely. And that's beyond our understanding how he does that. But this energy is called Lila Shakti. Lila Shakti makes arrangement so that Krishna's desires are fulfilled, and his desire is to have these intimate relationships with devotees. That is what Krishna, he wants these deep relationships with his devotees. So just by meditating on Mother Yasoda and yes, how she's churning this, and because it is important that we hear these verses and we need to visualize it, see it in our mind, that dressed in a saffron yellow sari, saffron yellow, that's how she is dressed. And she has a belt bound around her hips, and she's pulling the rope. You can see the pulling going on, and her hair is moving, and she's laboring considerably. Her bangles and earring moving and vibrating, and so we have heard in this verse she's singing, and interesting in the Sanskrit. The Sanskrit is so written. If you hear the Sanskrit and you repeat the Sanskrit, it's like you are hearing these sounds. Yani agitani tadbalisharitani cha. It's like you can feel the atmosphere just by the Sanskrit. It is very, very beautiful. That her whole body is shaking because of her intense love for her child. Her breasts were wet with milk. Her face with its very beautiful eyebrows, was wet with perspiration, and malati flowers were falling from her hair. That so we can remember this picture and become absorbed in it. Mother Yasoda is absorbed in Krishna, and she's always, her consciousness is absorbed with this love for Krishna, and she doesn't want anything else. So we are the soul. Soul means consciousness. What are we absorbing our mind in? That absorb it, and here is a method given for how to become absorbed in thinking of Krishna with love at every moment. And Mother Yasoda is the highest devotee, and she's showing us how to do that. But then suddenly Krishna appeared. He appeared in the doorway, just getting up. He was rubbing in his eyes like this, and he was getting up like children. They are sleeping till later in the morning, and he comes down and he's hungry. And that's the next verse. While Mother Yasoda was churning butter, Lord Krishna, desiring to drink the milk of her breast, appeared before her. And in order to increase her transcendental pleasure, he caught hold of the churning rod and began to prevent her from churning. So Krishna is intelligent. That I want to drink her breast milk, so I will force her to stop with this churning. And he put his two little hands on the churning rod so that she could not move it. That Prabhupada writes, Krishna was sleeping within the room, and as soon as he got up, he became hungry and went to his mother, wanting to stop her from churning and drink the milk of her breast. He stopped her from moving the churning rod. Then in the next verse, Mother Yasoda then embraced Krishna, allowed him to sit down on her lap, and began to look upon the face of the Lord with great love and affection. Because of her intense affection, milk was flowing from her breast. But when she saw that the milk pan on the oven was boiling over, she immediately left her son to take care of the overflowing milk. Although the child was not yet fully satisfied with drinking the milk of his mother's breast. So what happened? There was milk on the stove, and there was milk, and she was breastfeeding Krishna. But then this milk started to boil over. So the milk in our breast is meant for Krishna, but the milk on the stove also. So this is an interesting situation that both were for the service of Krishna. But in Vrindavan, in the spiritual world, like in the spiritual world, everything is conscious. Everything is conscious. And also the milk.
Yeah.
And the milk who was on the stove became envious and said, this is spiritual envy. That's good envy. That they said, yes, this milk in the breast of Mother Yasoda is serving Krishna so nicely. And I want also to serve Krishna like this. So what's the use of my existence if I cannot serve Krishna? And it started to boil over. So that's good envy. That yes,
It's not just accidental.
no.
Okay.
That. So this is explained here, also in the purport. Everything in the household affairs of Mother Yasoda was meant for Krishna. Although Krishna was drinking the breast milk of Mother Yasoda, when she saw that the milk pan in the kitchen was overflowing, she had to take care of it immediately, and thus left her son, who then became very angry, not having been fully satisfied with drinking the milk of her breast. Sometimes one must take care of more than one item of important business for the same purpose. Therefore, Mother Yasoda was not unjust when she left her son to take care of the overflowing milk, because the milk was also for Krishna. On the platform of love and affection, it is the duty of the devotee to do one thing first and another thing later. Interesting. The proper intuition by which to do this is given by Krishna. Tesham satayuktam bachanam pritipurkam dadami bhutiyom tam yena mama priyantitve. Srila Prabhupada writes, yes. In Krishna consciousness, everything is dynamic. Krishna guides the devotee in what to do first and what to do next on the platform of the absolute truth. This is a very interesting instruction. That there's a mode of goodness. You do one thing and then you do the next. Don't try to do two things at the same time. They will both be half done. So we can fix our mind on one thing at the same time. And that's goodness. And Prabhupada also was like that. He was doing one thing after another, but he got a lot of things done. That it's not by hurry up that you get, by calm and intelligent, one thing after another, he was doing that. So the proper intuition by which to do this is given by Krishna. That, of course, Krishna became angry. This is what Nanda Maharaj said to Uddhav. You think Krishna is God, is Narayan, but I will tell you one thing. If we don't repeat him in time, he becomes angry. And here you have it, he becomes angry. How can he be God? So this is this Lila Shakti which brings him to act as a simple child. So what happened next? The last verse we read. That being very angry and biting his reddish lips with his teeth, Krishna, with false tears in his eyes, broke the container of yogurt with a piece of stone, and then entered a room and began to eat the freshly churned butter in a solitary place. So, purport, it is natural that when a child becomes angry, he began crying with false tears in the eyes, false tears. So Krishna did this, and biting his reddish lips with his teeth, he broke the pot with a stone and entered the room and began to eat the freshly churned butter. So he started naughty activities. So any comments?
It would be, one can quickly or easily misunderstand why Krishna's not behaving in a nice way. He's being naughty, breaking the older pots. But there's always a underlying, it'll always come out for the better, and because they're saturated with love, somehow Maria Soda will want to get involved and thing.
Krishna had a few things in mind. First, he wanted to prove the love of Mother Yasoda for him, that her love was so great that she could bind him. And the second thing is, he was thinking about Nalakuvera and Manishviva and the words spoken by Narada Muni. That because there are also a lot of details of these pastimes, that this love of Mother Yasoda is also described in, there are many commentaries of our acharyas on this. And Shiva Ramaraj has compiled this in a book. And this a book that describes the love of Mother Yasoda and is based on this first 10 or 15 verses of this chapter, from which I read 5. And there are amazing details also. That, yeah. Good. And
we just have to let it, we have to go with the flow of the pastime. We can't get so fixated on why is Krishna breaking the body odor, why is he disobeying Soda, he seems to be making trouble. There's a whole other motive or purpose.
Even evil feet monkeys, they get also mercy. He gives mercy to the monkeys. He will give mercy to Mother Yasoda, to Manashiva, Alakovera, and then later during the day, when the Arjuna trees fell, then all these family members come back from Upananda at that moment. A lot of details there, amazing details. That this is the introduction to the Damodara and the Damodara time. We will have amazing, amazing festivals in this month. We have, of course, it starts with the appearance of Radha Kund, and then we will have the Govardhan Puja, Diwali, Govardhan Puja. That Prabhupada's disappearance is also in that month. That so for us, it's a great month to absorb us every day in Krishna's pastimes. Therefore, when we chant this Damodarastakam written by Satyavrata Muni, it makes us absorbed in that love for Damodara, and it's so beautiful that when I was in the UK, then in every, because there are many Gujaratis, and every evening there would be a program at a different house, and they would make it a point. Everyone comes to our house to offer the lamps, and sing Damodarastakam, some small lecture, and then Prasadam every day, 30 days.
You do that in your London?
Yeah, in the UK, everywhere. In Leicester, in the UK, in London. There are many good Gujaratis there. That's few 100,000. Good. Thank you very much. And Srila Prabhupada ki, Damodara ki, Mother Yasoda ki.
Or there was reading somewhere